Hello friends, welcome to another series of learning Linux commands which will bring us closer to our main goal of learning shell scripting. In today's video, we are going to go through certain commands which are needed from your day-to-day operations whenever you're dealing with the files or executing any commands using FC or history. So let's get started without any delay. So the first command which we are going to go through is the stat command. The second command is the cut command. The third command is the sed command. The fourth command is CMP, which is nothing but a compare command. The fifth command is the base name. The sixth command is comm, which is common. The seventh command is the FC command, and the last command is the history command. In this video, we will be first going through the small presentation to understand what are these commands and what options we have available when we execute these commands on our terminal. At the end of this presentation, I will be going through a demo session of all these commands and with the options which we have studied. So without any delay, let's get started. So the first command is the stat command, and the stat command gives information about the file and the file system. The stat command gives information such as size of the file, the access permissions, the user ID, and the group ID. There are certain options available with the stat command. When you use an option stat -f, it gives the output with the file system information. -l to defines the symbolic link and displaces the information about the file to which symbolic points. So let's not get much into the depth what is symbolic link. We will go through in our shell scripting session, but the symbolic link in Unix is nothing but a shortcut to the actual file in the Windows. Whenever you create a shortcut in Windows, when you execute that shortcut, it is basically referring to the original path of the file which it points to. The last option here is the format. So if you want your stat command output to be customized, you can use the format option. Moving to our next command is the cut command, and cut is one of an important command when you are dealing with the files in Unix. So cut command in Unix is the command for cutting out the sections from each line of files and writing the result to standard output. So here are certain options with the cut command. -b to extract the specific bytes from the file, -c to extract the character, -f to extract the fields. It's nothing but extracting the columns. -d act as a delimiter. So suppose you have a file which is separated by the pipe has a delimiter. That's where you use cut -d option to delimit the file and get the fields from that delimiter. Minus output dash delimiter. So once you have extracted the fields from the file and now you want to display the output with a delimiter called as space or comma, that's where you use output delimiter. We will go through in our demo session, don't worry. Let's first focus on what options we have for each command. Moving to the next command is the CMP command, which is compare. So CMP command in Unix or Linux is used to compare the two files byte by byte, and helps you to find out whether the two files are identical or not. So you might have a question in your mind that what does the def does? Right? So def basically, as the name suggests, it gives you the differences between the two files, and CMP is used to compare the two files and to know whether the both files are identical or not. So, here are certain options available with the CMP command. -p compare the files and displays the output in bytes. -i bytes to skip and then start comparing the file. So you would be in a scenario where you want to skip the first 10 bytes and then start comparing the file after that. That's where you use -i option. -l, this option prints byte position and byte value for all differing bytes. -s, this option suppresses the output and gives the output as 0 if the files are identical and 1 if it is different. Moving to our next important command is base name. The base name command prints the file name by stripping the directory information and the suffixes from the file name. So here are certain options. -a, this option allows you to pass multiple arguments. -s, this option removes the trailing suffix such as file extension. -z, this option separates the output with null rather than a new line. So base name is basically a command to get the name of the file from the file which you have passed to. So for an example, I have a file called as abc.txt and I just want abc, the name of the file, but not the extension. That's where you use the base name. The next important command is comm, which is nothing but a common. So common command compares the two sorted files line by line and write to standard output, the lines that are common and lines that are unique. So in short, tomorrow if you want to know what are the two identical lines between two files, or you want to know the list of identical lines between the two files, that's where you use comm command. And the options we have is -1, -2, and -3. And the last is output delimiter, which is the same thing which we have gone through in our CMP command. Moving to our second last command, which is fc command, and it's mostly used if you do not want to write certain commands, or if someone on the terminal has already executed that command and you want to use that command to fetch certain records or to display certain records, etc. So the fc command is used to list, edit, or re-execute the commands previously entered into an interactive shell. And here are the options with fc command. So the first is -l. So you want to know the list of previously executed commands in your terminal, fc-l gives you that. If you want to know the line numbers on which each command is a line, fc-ln. -r gives you the commands previously executed in reverse order. So when you do my fc-l, you get the list of commands in ascending order, but when you do fc-lr, it gives you descending to ascending. So we will see the difference soon in our demo session. -e, this option is used to edit the command by passing vi as an editor. Don't worry, we will go through this option pretty soon. And the last command is the history command. As the name suggests, it gives me to view what all previously commands have been executed on that terminal. And it has certain option called -d. So if you want to remove the certain command from the history, you use history -d and the number on which it is like. -c, it is used to delete the whole history. So there would be a scenario where you don't want to know anyone who has logged into terminal what all commands you have executed. You can use history -c to do that. I hope you got a better understanding about what each command is and what options we have with these commands. So In our demo session, we will be going through this all commands and their respective options. So without any delay, let's jump to our AWS management console, and there we will be using AWS Cloud Shell. So friends, I've already logged into AWS console management and I'm already on the terminal of EC2 console. So let's move to our first command, which is stat. So to check that, we need to type which stat, and we see the command is already installed on our server. So let me quickly create a dummy file because I don't have any file on my server. So to check that, I see ls-lrt. And now let me quickly create the dummy file, so which is using touch dummy.txt. So now we have a dummy file which is of the 0 byte. Now when we execute stat dummy.txt, we get some information, and it gives the file name, the size, whether it's a regular file or it's a regular empty file, what is the user ID it has been created, group ID, the access, modify, the change time, the birth. Now let me write the content to it. So this is dummy and I am this. And now let's execute dummy stat on that dummy.txt. Now if you see, we have an updated information in it. Now it's no more a regular empty file, it's just a regular file. And it has a size of 14 blocks are 8, the modified time and the change time as well into it. I hope you got an understanding between how the stat dummy.txt, how to use that. Now let's move to our first option, which is stat -f dummy.txt, and it gives us a basic information about the file, which is the file name, the ID, the block size, total blocks, free, available, and other information related to that file. Let me quickly clear the screen and moving to our next option, which is stat -l. But before that, let me create a shortcut for this file. And in Unix, to create that, we use ln, which is link, -s, a symbolic soft link, the name of the file for which you want a symbolic link to be created, and the name of that symbolic link. So the moment you do ls-lrt, the symbolic link gets highlighted with a blue color. And the thing to distinguish between a regular file and a symbolic file is the L, which you see in the front of that symbolic link. Now let's type stat dummy1, and let's type stat -l dummy1. Now, if you see, we have two different information display on our screen. So the first, when we type stat dummy1, it gives the information about the soft link, which is dummy1. It does not gives us the information about our original file, which is dummy.txt. And to get that, you need to use stat -l, the name of the symbolic link, so that it gives you the information about of the original file. I hope you got the difference between just typing stat and the symbolic name, and stat minus L, the symbolic name. Now let's move to our next command, which is the base name. So when let's type pwd, the moment I type base name, the home ec2 user dummy dot txt, you see the base name gives me the name of the file. It does not gives me the directory path in which it is residing. That's how you can use the base name whenever you just want the file name, not the directory path. Now let's type base name minus s txt, because I know the extension of my file is txt. Then I'm using home ec2 user dummy.txt. Now you see I get an output of just the name of the file without an extension. So that's how you can use base minus s. Let me create one more file to demonstrate you the next option, which is base minus a. So I'm going to create touch dummy2.txt. So we have two files here. Let me type base name minus a for multiple in dummy.txt home ec2 user dummy2.txt. The moment I type base name minus a and the multiple file names with their directory path, I get the output of the file name, not the directory path in which the file is residing. Now let's use the combination base minus a and s. So all I'm going to do is to write base name minus a s and txt, because I know the extension of both files is txt and I get just the file name. I hope you got a better understanding of how to use the base name in order to extract the file name as well as just the name of the file. So friends, to demonstrate the next command, which is the cut command, I have created the two files already in my home directory. The first file is demo underscore cut.txt and the second one is demo underscore del, which is delimiter underscore cut.txt. So let's see the content of it. So in one, you see I have this plain file, and in the second, I have a delimiter file separated by pipe. Let's execute cut demo cut.txt, and you see the moment I type that, it pops me with an error saying that you can use the cut with the specify list of bytes, characters, or the fields option. So let's use cut minus b1 and then give demo cut.txt, and see it gives me the first character or the first byte from the file. If I want the first 3 bytes, I will use cut minus b1 comma 3 and then the file name. So it gives me the third character or the third byte of it, right? Let's use cut minus c to see the character. You see I would say the output is identical whether we use B or C, right? So if I need all the characters to be displayed, cut minus C1 dash. So it gives me all the characters starting from the position 1 until the end of that word or that character. So in this case, we get all the characters. So if I want certain characters only, which is 2, 4, 5, so it gives me, it has an option to give the value or the character from that word, right? I just want the first two characters to be displayed, I will use -2 and it gives me this. If I want 3 characters, I will use -3, right? That's how is the difference using cut -b and cut -c. Now let's move to our next option, which is cut -d. So let me quickly clear the screen, and then we have a file demo underscore delimiter. So I use cut -d, which is delimiter pipe separated, -f and the file name. And you see we get an output from of the first field. If I want the second field, I will use F2. If I want both fields, I will use 1-2. It gives me both. But remember, right, we had another option available for you, which is output delimiter. So if I do not want an output to be displayed with a pipe separated, I will use that, which is output dash delimiter single quote space single quotes completed. And you see we got an output has Pune space Pimpri. We need, if we need dash, you can use dash. If you need underscore, you can use that as well, and you get the output whatever is desire you wanted. I hope you got a better understanding of how to use the cut. So friends, to demonstrate the next example or the next command with an example, I would use the two files which I have already created, which is file 1.txt and file 2.txt. And so we have file 1.txt, which is Dinesh Rajiv Raj, and we have file 2.txt, which is Dinesh Rajesh Raj. So the command which I'm going to demonstrate is comm, and the moment I type comm file 1 and file 2.txt, it gives me a message saying that the files are not in the sorted order. In order to run comm successfully, you need files to be in the sorted order. So let's quickly sort the files. So 1.txt have pointed at f1.txt, and the second file, let me sort it f2.txt to sort underscore 2.txt. So now we have both the files in the sorted order, right? Now let me quickly clear up the screen and let's again type comm sort txt. And if you see, now we don't get that message, right? So let me help you to understand how the output of common is. So the first column which you see here, right? Let me do cat, and so the first column which you see when we execute comm sort underscore f1.txt and sort underscore f2.txt, we get an output of Rajiv, because Rajiv is the unique word in the sort underscore f1.txt. In the second column, we get Rajesh, because the Rajesh is the unique word in sort underscore f2.txt. And the third we got is Dinesh and Raj, which are common in the both files. I hope you got an understanding of how to use a common. Now, if I want this output to be customized, I'll use output underscore delimiter. So let me use common And if you see, I have got the output what I wanted, and it has basically suppressed the space with plus plus, and that helps me out to identify that okay, Rajiv is the unique, Rajesh is the unique in the second file, Raj and Dinesh both are common in the first file. So that's how you can basically customize your output as well. So now let's go to comm -1 and sort f1.txt and sort f2.txt. So if you see the output, right, when we did the first one, right, so -1 will give you the output which is the unique in the sort underscore one.txt, and that's what it gives, and unique in sort underscore f2.txt. If we use 2, it basically gives us the output which is unique in both of the files. Now let's use -3. So it gives me the output which is basically unique in or in both of the files, which in our case is Rajesh and Rajiv. You can also use a combination of both as well. If you see 1 and 2, what I've got in both the files, what are the common? Okay, so I have got Rajesh and Dinesh. If I use 1 and 3, let's see what I get. I get Rajesh because Rajesh is the unique one. I can use 1, 2, 3 both to see what I get, and I don't get anything because we have basically suppressed, or we have suppressed the output, right? That's what I would say. Now let's move to another command, which is cmp. So for that, I have already created a file called as cat 3.txt. So when I do cmp file 1 and compare it with file 3.txt, it doesn't gives me any output because both files are identical. If I use file 1 and compare it with file 2.txt, it gives me an output that on line number 2, there is the difference between the two files. If I use cmp -l, it gives me a output which tells me what is the byte position, what is the byte value, and how much is the difference between the. So first, the first column is the byte position, second is the byte value, and the third is the difference between the two bytes. I hope you got an understanding of how to compare the two files and get the difference between line by line or byte by byte. Okay. Moving to the next command is the fc, and then we will go with our last command, which is history. So let's type fc. So moment I type fc, it shows me the last command which I executed was clear. So to get the full listing, I will type fc -l, and you see it gives me the previously executed command on my terminal were common 1, 2, 3 clear s-lrt and couple of other things. So if I want without line numbers, I will use fc -ln, and you see the line numbers does not gets display. If I want in the reverse order, I will use fc -lr, which we have already done. Now if I want to execute the line number, say 91, what I will do is fc and 91. So if you see, it basically opens that, and then it basically clears the screen for me as well. So now again, if I do ln -lrd, and let me get the history command, which is 95. So fc 95. if you see, history command is there, and it gives me the list of history, what I have executed in next in last 1 hour whenever I was on the terminal. I hope you got an understanding of how to use an FC. Now let's use history command. So moment I type history, it gives me, sorry, typo error, it gives me the list of commands which are executed on this terminal. And for an example, if I want to basically remove the 94th line, what I will do is history minus D, okay, and I will put 94 here. And now let's again type history, and if you see, that line is no more there. Okay, now I want to wipe out all this history. All I will use is history minus C. And now let's type history. And if you see, the whole history is being wiped out. No one knows what all commands were executed on this terminal. I hope you got a better understanding of how to use FC versus history. If you have liked this video, kindly do subscribe to my YouTube channel and kindly hit that like button, and please help me out with your inputs and suggestion to improve my content and what all topics I need to be covered in the next Linux session. Until then, take care. Bye bye. Thank you.